Good morning, good morning, good morning for those who are awake right now. I've been awake for maybe about 2 hours. This is definitely normal because during these times, it is the quietest time in the evening, and the world is quiet for the most part, and you're able to think. You're able to meditate. You're able to sit in silence and just still yourself uninterrupted. You don't have any calls. You don't have any texts. You don't have any emails or any alerts triggering you at all. This is the perfect time to sit still and to, focus in on what it is that you are desiring, that you are working toward, or even focusing in on absolutely nothing, because during the normal day you're focused on everything. You know what I mean? So stillness is abundance. Peace is abundance. Quiet is abundance. Rest is abundance. For myself, I have altered what one would deem, wealth. I've altered what one would deem prosperity and abundance. I've altered what one would deem consider blessing. I think when we deal with society, I think a lot of people gauge those words or those terms or societal's, focus on blessings and abundance and prosperity. They base it on something tangible, something monetary, something I want to say of value, but it's a value to them. Let me say that. Something that has a dollar amount attached to it. Me personally, and I'm not going to even lie, that was me once upon a time. That was all of us once upon a time. We based our worth on what it was that we possessed, what we could gain, the status that we could acquire, all of those things. We gauged our value on that. In fact, in today's times, you can look up someone's net worth. You can look up someone's net worth by the things that they possess. And unfortunately, I don't know where that began, but my goodness, it's so distorted because every single thing that they possess can absolutely be stripped away from them. It could be damaged. It could be, all of those things. And yet, their real worth is what lasts outside of, damage and all of that stuff. That's, I don't know. Our mindset is completely and totally different when it comes down to what is of value. Me personally, stillness is value. Peace is value. It really, really is. But as I'm sitting here and I'm in my stillness, I was thinking about two things. Number one, about the things that we set our minds to, the power of our mind. Our minds are very, very, very powerful vessels. They really, really are. Number one, we, especially going into New Year's, we always go into the new year with a resolution, with a list of things that we're going to change, we're not going to bring from the old into the new, things that we're going to focus on, things that we're going to do, we're going to accomplish, we're going to not do, we're going to stop doing. all of those things, right? But what I was thinking is that instead of thinking of what we're not going to do, what we won't do, what we're going to stop doing and all of this stuff, for us to focus on the opposite of that, which is, I will do this, I will do that. Say, for instance, if the most common resolution is weight loss, right? I'm not going to eat this. I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop doing that. I won't do this. I won't do that. Those words, don't, stop, won't, those are triggering words. What do I mean when I say that? I mean, if you say stop doing this, knowing us, we're automatically going to focus on that thing. Whatever the obstacle is, we're automatically going to zoom in on the obstacle instead of zooming in on the benefit, right? We're going to be too busy focusing in on not doing something that will be our main focus. Everything that we do, we're going to make sure that we don't do this, instead of simply saying, eat this, do this, say this, go here, move this way, instead of just focusing on the thing that you want to do. You know what I'm saying? We focus in on the things that we shouldn't do, that we don't do, and it shouldn't be that way, because those are the things we're too busy focusing in on the obstacle, as opposed to the target, which is good morning, as opposed to the target, which is the thing that we desire. We're giving the attention to the things that we're giving too much attention to the things that we're not supposed to do, instead of just doing the things that we want to do. Okay? We've been conditioned this way from children. Don't touch that. Stop that. Don't do this. Go over here. Stop doing that. And automatically it makes us want to do it. Automatically it draws us into it automatically. So now the not doing something is the only focus that we have, as opposed to telling the child, come over here, sit here, let's play here. You know what I'm saying? It's because when you change the focus, then you have a new target. You have a more healthier target. Okay? Change the focus. If the child is coloring on the wall, stop doing that. Just change the focus. Hey, color here. Try this paper. Color on this book. Color here. That will be the new focus. Okay? Because oftentimes we're given an instruction, a don't, stop, won't, without a reason why. We just given directives. Don't and stop and, all of those things. We're just given a directive. We're given an order. We're not given a why. If you focus in on, if you say, don't eat in your room. And the only thing that child or whoever is going to do, they're going to focus on making sure they don't eat in the room. Instead of saying don't eat in the room, say, let's eat at the table. Let's set the table. Let's eat at the table. Then they're going to focus on eating at the table and won't tag, and they won't focus on eating at the table, or eating at the table as a task, as a chore, as being ordered to not do this or not. No. Don't eat in your room. They're gonna be too focused on not doing something as opposed to the joy of doing something. You see what I'm saying? Our minds are very, very tricky. Our minds are very tricky, and we gotta be very strategic with how we handle our minds. Another thing regarding our minds is, what they call elevator music, right? It's literally the music that plays in the background when you're on the elevator. Okay. And typically the person that programs that music, they're just trying to give you something just to make your ride a little more pleasant, a little less awkward, because I'm quite sure you're in there with other people that you may not know, and everybody's just standing still, just looking, waiting for their floor to come. And, and it's just, if it's super silent, then it's like, awkward times 10. So, but when you have some type of music playing in the background, it makes the ride a little less awkward, a little, more pleasant and things like that. And it seems as if, you arrive to your floor probably a little faster than what you normally would. Of course, it seems as if, right? But the other thing about elevator music is, whether you know it or not, say for instance, the song that's playing is a song that you are familiar with, or a song that you may have heard before, or a song that you haven't heard before at all. How many of you have ever gotten off of the elevator and an hour or two later find yourself humming the tune that was just playing? Find yourself thinking about the tune, something that you were experiencing for all of 60 seconds. And in those 60 seconds, you now have a new thing that you're focusing on. You now have a new thing that's in your memory bank. All of a sudden, this new thing is just coming up out of your spirit. Now you're thinking, you're singing, you probably find yourself moving to it because it's playing in your head. That is how quickly our brains absorb. That is how quickly, whether we realize it or not, that is how quickly our brains absorb. Now, with that being said, what are we exposing our brains to? Whether we are focusing in on it or whether it's elevator music in the background. In these days of social media, in these days of entertainment, in these days of TV, music, in these days of, written things or whatever the case, signs and or people talking around us and things like that. How much are we hearing that is being played in the background that we don't even realize is embedding itself into our brains? And before you know it, just like that elevator music that you were just in that elevator for 20 seconds. And now all of a sudden, an hour later, that same song that was playing in the elevator is now playing in your brain. And now you're singing that song. It took only 20 seconds for that thing to get embedded in you, for it to become a part of you, for it to become influential to you, for you to start acting out of what you just got embedded, what was just embedded. So how much does it take, or how much influence is other things when it comes down to, what's embedded in your psyche, what's embedded in your brain? Things that people say around you, negative talk, positive talk, whatever the case, things that people say around you. It's not you saying it, you're just around them that are saying it. And before you know it, it's in you. and you start to say it. Or if you're watching a television personality and they have a big charismatic personality, and all of a sudden you start to reflect that person's big charismatic personality. There's some of their traits, some of their ways. It wasn't you that started saying it. You just exposed yourself to it, and now it's a part of you. Some of the songs that we hear, you know what I'm saying? I was scrolling yesterday on social media, just scrolling, looking at, whatever is on there. I had a free moment or whatever. And so I was scrolling, and the song, Jasmine Sullivan. Now, we all know and love Jasmine. She's a phenomenal artist. So I'm scrolling down, and her song from her album Hotels, there's a song that she has where it says, you gonna make a hoe out of me. Okay. Grand Rising. Hello, Amber. Now, on this particular song, okay, she was talking about how, frustrated she was, and how, she was being everything to her mate that she thought that she wanted, that she should have been. And then that person still went out and did whatever, against her and hurt her feelings and chose someone else or whatever the case. And so she was saying how, it's out of frustration that she thought to become a hoe herself. Okay. Now, of course, that's definitely not what we're condoning here at all, because that's not healthy, number one, and you're causing more damage than you are good in that sense, and if a person don't want to be with you, then baby, by all means, allow them to go their separate ways and do what they got to do. Okay. I always put it like this: anyone that can be stolen from you, they were never yours to begin with. Okay. Now I'm gonna leave that right there, because this is not the sermon today. Okay. Now, but when I heard that song, I literally I stopped at her singing, just more or less about her singing. Because if you know me, then you know, right? Exactly. Right. Fly bird, you are free. If you know me though, then you know that my original career in life was music. And I am a former recording artist, musician, songwriter, producer, the whole nine yards. So of course, when I'm listening to music, I'm listening from a different ear, right? I'm listening from an ear of production. I'm listening from a songwriter standpoint. I'm listening for tone, pitch. I'm listening for her raspiness and her ability to carry, you know what I mean? I'm listening for all of the acrobats in her voice and what she's able to do, her talents, her abilities. I'm listening to it from a different ear, okay? However, and it was all of 30 seconds I listened to, right? Her passion behind it and everything. I ended up scrolling, looking at something else, maybe about an hour or so after that. So I let it go. I'm so past that song. And then I go to bed. Okay. I lay down and I go to sleep. And don't you know that in my dreams, I'm hearing this song. In my dreams, I'm hearing this song. I wake up. The song is in my head. Okay? I'm talking about a good 30 seconds of exposure. Okay? This is the power of our brain. Okay? Mind you, I don't want to be made a hoe out of. Okay? So this is not what I'm trying to be hearing in my brain while I'm sleeping, nor when I wake up. That's not my message to myself. Okay? So I don't want this to be sitting on my brain and in my psyche, okay? So, but my point is, how quickly do we absorb things and it becomes a part of our mind, a part of our brain, a part of our psyche, ultimately a part of our actions, a part of our habits. This is what I say. I used to say this all the time. I learned this from somewhere, but I say this all the time. If you sow a thought, you reap an action. If you sow an action, you reap a habit. If you sow a habit, you reap a lifestyle. And if you sow a lifestyle, you reap a destiny. How quickly are things, yes, Amber, a part of our reality, how quickly do things become a part of our thought process? And then that thing was first a thought became an action, especially the more you pour into that thought, the more, because words are seeds, okay? They're seeds. And so if you say, for instance, I continue to listen to that song and I continue to listen to that album and I continue, then what I'm doing is I'm watering the seed. And that thing that was once a thought or just a song that I'm playing and just a whatever, and I'm listening to it from the musicality standpoint, but those words have embedded themselves in me, and all of a sudden, what was once a thought has now become my action. Okay? Amber says, I now understand why they say use your imagination. It actually come through. Thoughts are very powerful. Thank you. Because once you think it in your mind, you might as well call it done. Even the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Your thoughts are so powerful. I'm leading somewhere here. If it don't take but 30 seconds for us to absorb something in our mind, and then consider this, how much are we exposing ourselves to on a daily basis? And what are we exposing ourselves to on a daily basis, knowingly and unknowingly, that is embedding themselves in our brain, that has created thoughts in our mindset and then has been transformed over into action, and we don't realize the genesis of where it came from? What are you exposing yourself to? Who are you listening to? What are you listening to? Who are you watching? What are you watching? And at the top of this conversation, I started with the words don't, won't, stop. They're triggering words. Yes, because I'm not going to say stop listening to this, stop doing this, don't do this. I'm not going to say that. What I'm simply going to say is listen to more positive things. Listen to things that are feeding your spirit. Listen to things that you watch, things that are more in alignment with what it is that you want to be doing and where you want to be going. Okay? Listen to artists that are beneficial to your future, your journey, your present day. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to go with the do's as opposed to the don'ts. You know, speak positively over your mind, your will, your emotion, your intellect, your imagination, your body, your spirit, your soul. Speak edification. Speak encouragement. Because if you focus on not doing something, then of course the obstacle is the only thing that you're going to be focusing on. No, focus on the positive side. That's what you do. Focus on the positivity. All right. Now, and be very, very, very strategic. I'm glad you stopped by too, Amber. Thank you. Amber said, I tell my sons that about rap all the time. Be mindful of what you feed your brain. Be mindful. Because once you open yourself up to that particular reservoir, once you open up yourself to that particular food, because it is food, then you must be, you gotta prepare yourself for what's to come out of that. We are strong. Don't get me wrong. We are strong, but I don't think we realize how much power we have. I don't think we realize how strong we are. I don't think we realize how brilliantly, masterfully created we were. I don't think we realize that. I think we go about this thing way too haphazardly. I think we pay little to no attention on the things that we can do. It's not as, as it's we're brilliantly crafted. Let me say this. We're brilliantly crafted to absorb. We're very porous being, porous, not poor. We're very porous beings. When I say porous, coming from the cosmetology background, porous simply means absorbent. We're very absorbent. We're very, we're very influential. We're very, we're very influential. We are easily influenced, very easily, because our brains are fashioned to pick up the things that we are aware of versus and our surroundings. Our brains are created to be aware, and that is a beautiful thing, but it could be a beneficial thing if we are mindful of what we are being aware of. Now that we have control over. We don't have control about how our brains operate, because that came with the creator and how the creator creates. But what we do have control over is what our brain absorbs. We do, because we control our environments. We control what we hear, see. We control what we say. We control, we control those things. We have say-so in that. And when you know how something works, then you know what it needs, okay, in order to operate it. We must first have to know how we work. We have to know how we work. I can guarantee you that a lot of us and where we are in life right now, once we pay attention to what we've exposed ourselves to over the course of our life, I can guarantee you that we will be able to pinpoint where our lives took a turn based on what we exposed ourselves to, and then what we allowed ourselves to say, do, hear, whatever the case. Amber says, if we make ourselves aware that we are not of this world, we would be so much better off to tap into ourselves. Absolutely. Because you would handle yourself in the most sacred way. In the most sacred way. We're conditioned, especially those of us who came up in the religious background, of religious setting. We're conditioned to believe that or think that only church grounds are holy grounds, sacred grounds, right? But to be perfectly honest, wherever your feet goes is sacred, is holy, because you are sacred. You are sacred. You are powerful. You are magical. You are amazing. You are, my goodness. We are some of the most beautiful creations ever made, ever created, ever formed. Okay, we are. Yes, our body is our temple. We are some of the most amazingly crafted beings ever. We are some of the most complicated, yet, it's like a sophisticated programming. You know what I'm saying? Sophisticated programming. And it's beautiful. But until we really get down into the nooks and crannies of the creation that is us, then we're going to be missing out. That's just like getting a new car, and the brand new car comes with a manual on all of the bells and whistles and how to operate them. But how many of us can honestly say that we have read through that manual when we got our cars? The answer is no. Some of us have had our cars for 10 plus years and we have yet to crack the manual, which means that if you don't do that, okay, if you don't do that, then that means that there is 10 times out of 10, you're not going to be utilizing that vehicle to its best maximum capacity. Okay. You're just not, because there's going to be some features that car will bring you that you're not going to know about because you refuse to read your manual. Okay. So get to know and become acquainted with your manual so that you can know everything that you're capable of. The only way to do that is to dive in, go inside. Amber said that's why they distracted us with religion, education, certain music, and certain TV shows. That is correct. Because there's a passage that said the people perish because of the lack of knowledge. We perish because we don't know who we are and what we're made of and what we're capable of. Which is why we're easily pliable, which is why we're easily conditioned, which is why we're easily influenced, which is why we're easily swayed. We're easily distracted because we don't understand. We don't understand our own power. But those who are distracting us absolutely do. But they have to keep us distracted, because the moment that we realize what we are, who we are, how we are, then we'll start acting like it. We'll start standing on it. Okay? We'll start living from it. And there would not be any stopping us at that point. Like me right now, I'm so fully aware of who I am and what I'm capable of that no one, and I mean no one, can tell me otherwise about myself. And the crazy part is, here's the crazy part, right? I'm becoming more and more aware, because the more aligned with me I am, the more aligned with my higher self I become, the more in sync with purpose, with passion, with the creator, source, with infinite intelligence, with ancestors, with, all of my angelic court, the more in sync I become with all things 5D. 5D. Because right now we're in the 3D. This earth realm is 3D. Okay? The more in sync I become with who I am before body, who I am before birth, who I am before given a name, an identity, a race, a culture, a geographical location, who I am before given a gender, who I am before that, because who I am transcends all of that. Those are boxed in mechanisms. The more I become aligned with who I am before box, before categories, before labels, before life, this life, the less I can be ruled by the things of this place. And that's a fact. Which is why I do not expose myself to a lot of things anymore. Because the more aligned I become with self, higher self, the less appealing the things of here become. You won't find me doing a lot of the things that I used to do when I was in the unknown, when I was unaware. You won't find me dwelling on things that I used to dwell on before I became aware of who I was. You won't find me saying the things that I used to say. You won't find me doing the things that I used to do before knowing and becoming aware of who I am. You just won't. You just won't. And day by day, I become more and more aware. So the more aware I am, the less, attached to the things of this place and the acts of this place I am. Okay? Yeah. And it's not to say that, I'm just going to float off in the distance. No. I am simply being in the world, but not of the world. We came here to influence the world, not for the world to influence us. You understand? There is a power. There's an ability in you. There's a purpose in you. There's an assignment in you. And we came from the 5D, dropped down, plummeted to the 3D. And when that happens, then a lot of the 5D understanding, we lose, because we had to become less of ourselves in order to be born here, right? And so our journey in this life is to return back to who we are, right? Take the journey of Christ, for instance. It took him 33 years. 33 years from birth. 33 years from birth to become fully aligned with his highest self, his highest abilities, his highest, who he was, who he is, before he could step out and start doing the things that he was purposed to do. 33 years. So it takes a while to undo this world stuff. It takes a minute, because it's unfortunate, but this place has some powerful influences. Look at where we are now. You know what I'm saying? Look at the state of where we are right now. All results of influences, like Amber said, distractions, religion, education, music, TV, all controlled avenues, strategically controlling avenues, very influential. And like I said earlier about the elevator music, it can happen so quickly because we're so absorbent. It can happen so quickly. Before you know it, a thought has been embedded in you and it's not even yours. Before you know it, you were just walking past a storefront and the song that was playing, it played for 5 seconds. You just walked past the store. And an hour later, 2 hours later, that song is blazing in your eardrums from within your own mind. It's so easy. It's so easy. So easy. So this place, oh my goodness, the breeding ground for distraction. Okay? Breeding ground. Amber says we are all born with a purpose. So instead of allowing us to tap in, they catch us while we're young. Absolutely. Catch us while we're young and then continue the process all the way to the grave. All the way to the grave. You know why? Because unfortunately, the older we get, the more set in those ways we become. See, by the time you are 40, 50, you're pretty much set, okay? Somewhat, because I've seen some turnarounds at those ages as well, which is I'm grateful for. But by the time you're 40, 50, yeah, your way of life works for you, okay? And it's not too many people that can come and tell you anything outside of that. All right? All right? Amber said, you must tag me in your lives because I don't want to miss any knowledge. Oh, love, you definitely have it already. Trust me. You're helping me to have this conversation. I promise you, because I probably would have been off by now. Okay, but in any case, these are just random. These are my random thoughts. I always have them, you know, and when I have them and they're bigger than just for me, I feel like, you know, there are some that Spirit will say to me, you know, this is just for you. And I'll keep it for me, you know, and I'll meditate on it myself. And I'll, you know what I'm saying? But there are some that I absolutely have to share with the masses because we must understand who we are and how we are in order to get the benefits of what we are. You know what I mean? It's in order to experience the magnitude of what we are. It's just, we're, oh my goodness, we're so beautifully made. We're so brilliantly crafted. Man, oh man, oh man. We're amazing beings. We're amazing beings. And I think the more and more you turn to self and love self, the more you pour into self, the more you admire self, the more you really embrace self, the more you come to know that you are truly a magnificent gift. And when you come to know that about self, then anything outside of magnificent, you won't even allow to come to you, approach you, speak to you, surround you. Anything outside of magnificent, you know, you because you understand your sacredness. You understand your preciousness. You understand it. You know it well. And the more aware of your sacredness you become, the more you handle yourself with sacred care, divine care. The more you filter what you will expose your sacred and divine self to. You're more mindful about the associations. You're more mindful about what you see, hear, say. You're more mindful about what you eat. You're more mindful about what you put on your being. You're more mindful about where you allow yourself to enter, places, you know, people who you allow yourself to be around. You're more mindful. You're more strategic. You're more intentional. Because not just anybody can partake in the sacredhood of you. Not just anybody. I say it all the time myself. I'm not for everybody. I'm for somebody. I am not for everybody. I am for somebody. My assignment is for somebody, not for everybody. And so our mistake that we make is when we try to be for everybody. No, 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 no. Be for what you're supposed to be for. Complete your assignment and then go on to the next. It's simple, but you must first be aware of who you are, what you are, how you are, so that you can be a little more intentional and strategic about what you expose yourself to, what you allow yourself to do, to be, you know. Yeah. Our mind is a beautiful thing. It's a brilliant thing. So 2 things out of this. Number 1, be mindful about what you're exposing yourself to. Because our mind is very sophisticated and it's very porous. It picks up everything quickly. Quickly. So be mindful about what you put in there, because that's what you're going to get out of it. Okay? And then be mindful about the don'ts, the won'ts, and the stops. Because instead of focusing on what not to do, focus on what to do. All right? You don't want to be focusing in on the obstacle or the negative thing. No. Focus in on the positive. Don't tell yourself to stop doing stuff. Don't tell yourself not to do this. Tell yourself what to do and focus in there. Okay? Alrighty, you all. This was much longer than what I expected. You know, I'm usually on here no more than 15 minutes. But apparently it needed to be said. And I'm grateful that I had an audience to, to share this moment with me. So thank you. I'm so glad that you all were able to get something out of it as well. Alrighty, you all. I'm going to get some more sleep. But I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. If you want to schedule sessions with me, you can do so at the link in the captions. I am always here. And I'm here for you. All right. Alrighty, you all. Sweet dreams. We will talk to you soon.